as well as handling traffic. So RRC, these are all common up to PDCP. All the layers are applicable to handling both signaling and traffic, wherein RRC is specific to signaling. RRC is specific to signaling, and SDAP is specific to handling traffic. So what did we do? We have split the control centralized unit into two components. One is called centralized unit control plane, another is called centralized unit user plane. And centralized unit control plane basically has RRC. Centralized unit user plane basically has SDAP. PDCP-C and PDCP-U user plane, they are basically PDCP layers built inside centralized unit. What 3GPP has done is also that they have defined E1 as an open interface. E1 is an open interface. Now literally I can buy control plane software from one vendor, user plane software from another vendor, wherein E1 is an open interface. On the core network side, control plane will talk to the 5G core network control plane. On the user plane side, user plane will talk to UPF. Now the distributed unit has some of the functions of RLC, MAC, and 5. Again, in 5 is split into, basically layer 1 is split into two major components called 5 low and 5 high. The reason is, in the implementation, we have to really connect RRU to DU to CU user plane, also CU control plane. So RRU is connected to the user, and RRU to DU, what is the data rate required in this interface called open front hall depends on what we perform in RRU. It could be in gigabits depending on how we handle it. So in order to optimize the transport bandwidth, in order to make sure that we utilize the bandwidth very efficiently between RRU and DU, and make sure that we are not looking for very high bandwidth, certain functions of layer 1 is done at RRU itself, so that after RU our data rate requirement is lesser from RRU to DU. So DU does basically scheduling, ARQ procedure, hybrid ARQ handling, and things like that. And then we have CU user plane if it is traffic, and CU control plane if it is signaling. Now the point is, you could ask me next question, in the real implementation, RU will be very closer to the user. It will be on the tower or pole or wherever. What could be the distance between RU and DU? Is there any delay? Is there any latency issue that we are going to face because of DU and RRU? If it is FR2, if the 5G implementation is on millimeter wave, why we are going for DU and ODU and ORU together? What is the challenge? There are MIMO implementation, the data rate requirement in front haul could be really high. No point in having DU and RRU separate, delay issues, a lot of things. So in this session, we can't really get into the details of the challenges and what we do in RU and what we do in ODU. But that gives us some idea that in small cell, DU and RU will be together. Only we will have CU and DU RU combined together, right? CU separate, DU and RU combined together. So this is the protocol split between DU, RU, and CU within the base station. And all these three components can come from different vendors because they have open interface. Now, what else we want to open up in the base station? In the base station, yes, some of these are radio and baseband related. We want intelligence also want to come from another player. We want intelligence to come
Devdas, Sanjay this side. So I think it's almost 1 hour you are speaking. So you can take a quick breather for 2 minutes, right? You can get a sip of water, or others can also do it. Meanwhile, I'll request everyone to just fill the feedback form, right? So if you are like how you felt about this session, we will be continuing with the session in another 2 minutes, right? The feedback form link is shared in the chat box. You can click on the link, and that will help us to plan our future session and how you felt about this session. So you can just take quick 2 minutes to fill the feedback form, and in 2 minutes we'll get started. So Devdas, you can just get a sip of water, and then we can get started in 2 minutes.
Sure, no problem. I have another 3 slides, Sanjay.
Yeah, so
and I may need another 10 to 15 minutes.
Right, so let's just take 2 minutes break, and then let's people the feedback form that will help us to curate the better content. Right, so request everyone to click on the link given in the chat box and fill the feedback form, and then we'll start in 2 minutes.
This is an interesting slide for everybody. Anyway, I'll wait for 2 more minutes and then start. Sanjay, shall we start? Sanjay, are you there?
Yeah. I hope most of the people have taken the feedback form. If you have not done that, please do that after the session. You can click on the link and do it at later stage. So let's go ahead. Let's get started.
Okay, very nice. So actually, in fact, this is just the match is just begun. Open RAN match. So this particular slide gives us lot more idea about Open RAN. In the previous slide, what we talked about is opening up only few components of radio, which is which is basically the RF components and the baseband related components. We have opened up and we have introduced 2 new interfaces. Now we want to bring in the intelligent, how to bring intelligence, how to bring brain to the radio from third party. We may have RU supplied by one vendor. We may have DU supplied by another vendor, and we may have CU supplied by another vendor, and we may completely go for a 4th vendor to bring in intelligence to my system. How this is possible? It is possible because 3GPP has defined ORAN Alliance has defined a standard interface called E2 between an upper layer which brings the intelligence to the RAN, and the upper layer is called RAN Intelligent Controller. Basically, this entire layer is called RAN Intelligent Controller, who is actually bringing the capability of intelligence orchestration, optimization, configuration, and things like that. And it can purely come from a third party vendor, and it is a software based solution. It is a software based solution, and it need not sit on a proprietary hardware. So there are players now who can focus on providing RAN intelligence solutions to 5G. They need not be a CU vendor. They need not be a DU vendor or an RU vendor, but they can provide, say that I can provide you some part of intelligence. Now in intelligence, there are majorly two components. One is called near real-time radio intelligent controller. The another is called non-real-time radio intelligent controller. There are two components. There are two components within RIC. RIC is divided into, RIC is radio intelligent controller. RIC is divided into two components. One is called near RT, which is near real-time RIC. The other is called, one is called near real-time, the other is called non-real-time RIC. Why there are two components within the RIC? One component can sit closer to the base station, which is basically latency sensitive and which is providing certain functions or intelligence which are immediately required for the base station at 1 millisecond level, at 0.5 millisecond level, wherein mobility management, handover related management, load balancing related functions, or radio resource management, or we call it as radio bearer, resource block assignments, all these things come on, all these functions are built on near real-time RIC, wherein the non-real-time RIC may not do that every 1 millisecond kind of function. Non-real-time RIC can provide solutions based on artificial intelligence and machine learning for configuration. It is studying, it is predicting something, and then it is giving a model to implement. So it might happen at once in 10 milliseconds or so. So, or it depends on the interval that is defined. So non-real-time RIC can actually provide us configuration management, fault management related aspects, and these kind of functions can be implemented on non-real-time RIC. Now the beauty here is, again, the A1 interface between real-time RIC and non-real-time RIC, near real-time RIC and non-real-time RIC, A1 interface is again defined open by ORAN. So which means within RIC, I can get one particular component from a particular solution provider and another component from a different solution provider. And to support both of that, we have an orchestrator wherein O1 interface is defined by ONAP platform, or ONAP initiative, and ONAP forum. They have defined O1 interface, which can actually help us in orchestrating the entire RAN, how to do this. So now we know that there are multiple vendors who can bring in their intelligence, who are really good at certain things, can provide solutions to operator, and operators are now having options. Operators are having options to implement different kinds of solutions, need not come from one vendor. It can come from multiple vendors. Now with these things, now you may say, what are all the challenges, right? What challenges we may have to have as an operator? What challenges we may have to face? Sorry, what challenges? One is definitely interoperability, working with multiple vendors. If there is a problem in the RAN, who is going to take the ownership? Who is going to take the ownership? Each one can point finger to other, saying that it's not my problem. It's the problem of CU. It's the problem of RIC. It's the problem of non-real-time RIC. It's the problem of RU. Who is going to, play that role that, I will look into entire thing and find out where is the real problem. If I talk to multiple vendors, each vendor will have, their own reasons for, for saying that their system is working. So there are lots of challenges. So performance is a major things. One. Second, time taken to correct any problems can actually take a longer time because of the complexity involved. Yes, we know that every coin has two faces. One is to look at the advantages and say, wow, ORAN is really too good. It is opening up, space for operator and brings flexibility, make the entire network software centric, bring lots of services, bring intelligence, and help the operator to, time taken for implementing new services, help the operators to quickly market, things like that. Yes, so with all that challenges, so we'll quickly look at, as I said, who has defined all these interfaces, right? Now, within the RAN, which we saw it as a one box about an hour ago, now suddenly we are seeing within RAN, there are multiple players who could play a role. There is a separate vendor here. There is a separate vendor A, vendor B, vendor C, and mind you, all these vendors are providing only software. It can all sit on one hardware. It can only, right? It is only a software centric solution. It can sit on hardware, right? So the distributed unit again come from vendor D, vendor E, and maybe vendor E is bit more proprietary hardware because there is a RF component in it. And certain solutions like small cell, RU and DU can be together. There is no front haul in the small cell. Only F1 interface is there. There are only 4 major components. So with this, I see a huge opportunity for lots of players to contribute in the RAN space, which was quite complex in the past. Now we have made it complex, but we have defined lots of open interfaces, and each of those components are smaller components. So this is actually an very interesting area for lots of software companies, consulting companies, R&D organizations, OEMs, ODMs, chipset companies who can actually bring in these, this kind of solution to the market. So end of the day, it is expected to bring lots of benefits to operator. So what is the need for virtual LAN? Now we know that, harmonization, same hardware platform. This is the last but one slide. So ultimately we can, with this kind of implementation, we can go for RAN virtualization in a standardized approach. We can go for a software run, software based solution running on a COTS hardware instead of going for a proprietary monolithic hardware from single vendor to flexible disaggregated multi-vendor system within the RAN. We can go for, harmonization because all things can sit on one open source hardware can bring significant cost saving to operator. Different components can come from different vendors, open interfaces, scalability and ease of deployment, all that can. But ultimately, there are some limitations. As I said, purpose-built RAN are generally can provide higher efficiency, power, size, and all that. Now, with lots of complexity, RAN can be really complex. Single vendor RAN can provide pre-integrated end-to-end solution. We don't have to work with multiple vendors and things like that, latency issues. So ultimately, a traditional RAN and open RAN, there is, of course, there are, if in this slide we are talking about, you know, 4 key areas: platform, software modularity, application and deployment and manageability. Yes, Open RAN has its own advantage. It is programmable, it is flexible, it is not bundled. You're not tied to, operator is not tied to a particular vendor, right? So, Open RAN in a way brings in all NFV SDN framework to make this entire system work. Key topics that I have really not covered is ORAN orchestration, how ORAN management to be done, how to really define, how can we actually have network slicing implemented in ORAN. Definitely we have not, talked about it. ORAN orchestration, network slicing in ORAN, front haul and mid haul between RU and DU and DU and CU, how those protocols are, what those protocols are, how it works. We did not talk about it today because of the time constraint. We did not talk about how to implement ORAN in millimeter wave band and how to implement ORAN in FR2 band. There are some implementation strategies for ORAN. We did not talk about it. We did not talk about ORAN deployment challenges. There are lots of deployment challenges. It looks great on presentation. It looks fantastic for operator. Of course, this ecosystem has to develop. It is looking good for operator, but end of the day, the entire ecosystem has to work together. And then we did not talk about front haul, mid haul capacity requirement. We did not really talk about what goes into CU, what goes into DU, what goes into RU, what are all the key functions done in DU, CU, RU. So some of these we really could not handle today. I just wanted to make sure that what we covered today also, we talked about ORAN overview. We talked about how radio network architecture was evolving from a single piece proprietary hardware to BBU RU based system to virtual RAN, and then how 3GPP and ORAN Alliance decided to open up the RAN. What are all the various components of RAN can be opened up? They talked about it, and they decided how CU, DU and RU split can be achieved, how we can bring radio intelligence controller from third party, how we can define that interface between CU and the rest of the components to the intelligence controller. We also talked about in radio intelligent controller, we have near real-time RIC and non-real-time RIC. So we also talked about the challenges of ORAN and benefits of ORAN and why operators are looking for ORAN. I'm sure this would have given us some idea now about what are all the opportunities, what are all the challenges. Basically, there is lots of work needs to be done because this is a very revolutionary approach to the RAN. So lots of work, both in software space, and when I talk about hardware, it is mostly in the cloud space, lots of work for people who are working in RAN. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation for today.
Yeah, Devdas, thank you very much for the wonderful session. So I think we can take another 10 minutes and take up any questions if you have. So I'll request participants to raise their hands. I will unmute you and then you can ask your question. So because we can't allow you to unmute, there will be around 190 participants we have as of now. Right. So meanwhile, request you to for our all previous sessions, you can actually subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link is given in the chat box. And the recording of this session will be also uploaded on our YouTube channel. and you can actually look at this recording at a later stage as well. Request everyone also to fill the feedback form. Can you just raise your hand if you have any questions, so I can unmute you, and then you can ask your questions. Anybody would like to ask any questions here? Okay, so give me a minute. So Vivek, I've just unmuted you. Can you just ask your question? Vivek?
You are getting me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Vivek, I'm
yeah.
able to hear you. Good evening. Please
Good
go
evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Very good session. But just I want to know one thing, that once we are going from a traditional RAN to the open RAN, and we
ahead.
are introducing say 5-6 vendors, as you said, that RRU, BU, and then we have got CU, DU. Then what is the interoperability issues? Means there will be so much issues related to the operations, because that is
Yeah.
from the design point of view. But once we go over the operations, then so much problem will be there. How you propose to solve it? Means how you see it in the future?
Very
You're
good
getting the
question. That's one of the key challenges of opening up the RAN.
Okay.
So in order to solve this problem, they have already visualized that, okay, interoperability is going to be a major challenge.
Okay.
So what ORAN Alliance has done, ORAN Alliance has designed the entire test suite
Okay.
to test the system properly well in advance before you deploy.
Okay.
With that test suite, if you test your system and if the system was working properly, you can very well assume that when you deploy the system in real world, it's going to work.
Okay.
So
Because that's
ORAN,
that's correct. Okay.
yeah. So the ORAN Alliance has a big role to play, and
Okay.
also there are test and measurement companies who are actually who have come forward to design the test suite for all these things. I'm
Okay.
sure if you are a tester, if I was also a network software tester when I was working for Motorola.
Okay.
So I am sure there will be lot of bugs in the initial phase, because
That's
so
correct.
many
That's correct.
scenarios we might not have thought about
Okay.
it. There are lots
Yes,
of
yes.
scenarios that are possible in the field, and with the
Okay.
introduction of IoT, with the introduction of URLLC service, there could be so many scenarios that we might not
Okay.
have really come across. So
Okay.
defining the test suite will be a major work, I would say.
That's one last question, sir. In continuation of that, now as you know that South Korea, Singapore, and part of India also, that we are implementing 5G network, and they are going with typical vendors only. For example, Singapore is Ericsson, South Korea is South Korean Telecom. They are operating. So from the operator point of view, once the network has been implemented on a single vendor, so can be changed for open RAN, because there is a confusion over there. Because suppose say example of South Korea or Singapore, they are going ahead end to end with the Ericsson. Now, if ORAN has to be introduced, then it can be introduced later on after
That's
the
the
testing.
challenge.
Okay,
So
okay.
it all depends on what was the solution bought by operator when they bought
That's
from
good.
Ericsson or when they bought from Nokia.
Okay,
If the
okay,
solution, when I say solution, the product and whatever they bought from Ericsson, is
okay,
it actually supporting the ORAN interface?
okay, okay. Got
Okay,
it, got it.
if the
Okay.
solutions provided by vendor, if it is not providing ORAN interface, then probably a vendor has to provide some plug-in unit to
Okay,
their
okay.
existing system which are deployed in the network, saying that if you buy this plug-in unit to my system, now that system can be a ORAN enabled. So
Okay,
it is
okay,
going to
okay.
be very interesting time, I would say, in the next couple of years to see how
That's correct.
ORAN really pans out and
Okay,
how the vendor world and operator world accepts it and works. At the end
that's
of
correct.
the
That's
day, I
correct.
think all of us will have lots of work in this area.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Bhushan, I have just unmuted you. You can ask your question. Bhushan, please go ahead.
Yes, actually, it was a very nice session. I was just wanted to ask a question related. You mentioned that real-time intelligence controller will add some of the mobility management and RB resource allocation. So is it like these are the many things done by the MAC scheduler? Is that all those
See,
functionality will be.
basically, Mac scheduler does only scheduling. It definitely requires input. The scheduler, basically, Mac scheduler does the scheduling. Scheduling algorithm is there, but the input has to come from upper layer for what kind of inputs to be given to the scheduler.
Okay.
That input can come from, for example, QoS related input. Mac scheduler should know about QoS related input. Mac scheduler also should know, is there a retransmission required? How often the retransmission? So Mac scheduler will really do the job, but the intelligence for that is definitely provided by the scheduler. Scheduler will look for that input from the intelligence controller, and that beautifully can come from a third party.
Ah, okay, got it. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
So it's an opportunity. If I and you are really good in bringing intelligence, tomorrow we as a small company can go to market and say that my real-time RIC is the best.
Puneet, you
I
can
am sure it opens up the market for us, right?
Yeah, Puneet, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? Yeah, Puneet, please go ahead.
Hi. So my question is regarding the control unit. So for the first time, I heard that the control plane and the user plane of the control unit can be from different vendors. Do you have any example of that? I mean, is there anything?
Yeah, see, the purpose of doing that is because even interface, the even interface is an open interface defined by 3GPP.
Okay.
I am not sure whether really operators will go for such a solution.
Okay, so it's basically theoretical.
Yeah. Most of these are as of now theoretical. I am sure this will take some more time to mature and
because the major work right now is happening on EC3 and the F1 interface. That's where the main testing is going on. And once the operators are knowing the list of vendors which are certified, then they say, okay, you guys go and, you can be chosen.
Precisely. Definitely. Again, there are challenges because these are all new initiatives. It has to mature. Then the performance related issues might come. The 3GPP and one major point that I want to convey is that 3GPP and O-RAN Alliance has given us an opportunity to open the RAN and define the standard interfaces. Again, now operators have choices to have to make their own decision about kind of hardware they need, like kind of cloud platform they should have, kind of implementation strategy can be completely different from one operator network to another operator network. Their system could be Linux based, somebody else's operating system on the cards could be something else. So it all depends now how operators are going to work closely with these service providers.
Right. I have one more question. Is there any difference in O-RAN Alliance and an Open RAN forum? I mean, there are many of these, So one is a 3GPP. Yeah. I mean, are these all different bodies, O-RAN and Open RAN?
Very good question. In fact, I wanted to talk about it. So you are able to see my screen, right? There is a forum called Open RAN. When I write, exactly I write according to what it is, without space, Open RAN. This is an initiative by TIP Forum. TIP Forum has many initiatives. One of the initiatives by TIP Forum is to encourage complete open interfaces in the cellular RAN, both in 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. This is not a standardizing body, but TIP is basically by Facebook and various other key operators. They are actually driving the ecosystem with their cloud and muscle power towards Open RAN, but they are not a standardizing body. And there is something called O-RAN Alliance, which is basically made up, basically a group of chipset players, operators, software service providers. This is actually defining standards. For example, front haul. For example, E1. all these interfaces and interoperability testing of all the units. This is defined by ORAN. 3GPP has defined basically even interface. Sorry, even is not defined by ORAN. NIC interfaces, right? So 3GPP has defined F1 mid-haul interface. 3GPP has defined CU-DU split. So in short, ORAN and 3GPP are basically standardizing bodies. 3GPP gives a larger standardization. Detailed standardization into certain components is given by ORAN Alliance. Open RAN is just an initiative, project initiative of TIP Forum, which is actually trying to push open interfaces in the RAN for both 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G.
Thank you so much. Very nice, very nicely explained. Thanks.
Any other questions, Sanjay?
Devdas, we can take one more question, and before we can, after that, we can actually conclude the session. There are so many questions, but I'm not sure if we will be able to take all the questions. So next one is from Vishal. Vishal, please ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. So my question is, like, as we discuss this disaggregation of hardware and software. So my question is, in mainly telecom, the latency is very important, right? While we are disintegrating means we are moving some part from FU to somewhere like CU, DU or something like that. That's our plan. So obviously that will increase the latency, right? So in this case, how we can address, like if we introduce ORAN solution or Open RAN solution, then how we will address this like latency?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, Vishal.
Yeah.
So the point is, as I mentioned in the slide before, I think I talked about this little bit, but I did not talk about it in detail. So RU and DU solution and where they are placed in the network has a major role to play in terms of latency. Every operator has their own deployment strategy. If an operator is focused mostly on EMBB and MMTC kind of solution, latency is not a challenge. So they have to really look into their deployment strategy based on their business case. If their business case has UR LLC kind of application, if the operator wants to go for connected car, robotic surgery, there are some services which are very specific, wherein they are very sensitive to latency of less than 1 millisecond. Then the deployment could be that they might have entire RU and DU built on one particular platform. They might not be split. Only CU could be, at a centralized location. So it all depends on how operators want to really implement their network. This is not well defined by EGPP or ORAN Alliance. Lot of things are also kept left to operator based on their implementation strategy, based on the infrastructure what they have, whether they will have edge cloud. If they have edge cloud, probably they can deliver lots of services at the edge without much latency. Lots of things are, basically left open or left to operator and probably how they want to implement.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Devdas. I think with that, we can close the session and request everyone to fill the feedback form so that we can actually curate better content for the future sessions. And my apology for all the people whose questions we were not able to take up. You can write your question or like any other queries related to our paid courses or the free sessions. You can write us an email at 5gtraining@nanocellnetworks.com. All right. So, is it possible to change the strategy post implementation? So, Deepika, you can write your questions to our email address. We will try to answer as many questions as we can. The email address was mentioned in the chat box. You can actually write an email to us. So thanks everyone for joining in big numbers, and my apology for everyone who was not able to join, maybe your friends or your colleagues. Please redirect them to our email address. They can write it here, or we can actually send the links for actually the recording of the session. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe and take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.